I delight, and I am placing you higher. You are breathing the sky, singing your lullaby. Shine bright in the night, it's in you I delight, and I am placing you higher.
Hey, it's Rory. You're listening to my mom's podcast, All Things Good. Grab a coffee as she dives into real conversation with friends in Jesus. It may look all bad right now, but Romans 8:28 says he works it together for your good. Cheers!
Let's just start this space off with a quick opportunity. I don't know if you know, but I have a crew. My crew is my mentorship group. And as you listen to this podcast, just imagine yourself being a part of these conversations 2 to 3 times a week, every week, with a whole community of people that are going to do intercession, that are going to do discipleship classes, where I'm going to take you through the word and help you learn how to study it for yourself, empower your spiritual journey. And this community is a private group that uplifts you and becomes your family. I just want to give you the opportunity to listen to this podcast and consider joining the crew. $20 a month. You can go to the website alissaholt.com and be a part of everything that God is doing over there. We are seeing supernatural miracles in bodies, families, minds. It's the real deal. You want to be a part, so come join us today. We'll see you over there. Well, welcome back to All Things Good. I'm so excited you're here with us, whether you're on YouTube, the platforms, wherever you're listening. I do want to remind you, if you enjoy this episode, would you please share it to somebody? Send the link their way. Leave me a review. These are important things when it comes to podcasting, because if you don't have people reviewing or sharing, then the algorithms do not pick it up and it does not get where it needs to go. So I do appreciate everybody who does that. This week, I'm super excited because you guys, I spent 2 weeks out of town. I went to Florida and then I went to Georgia and I went and saw one of my best friends, and we weren't ready to leave each other yet. So you guys, this is my bestie, Ashley Alissa. Hi. And our story is so interesting and exciting. I'm sure we'll tell a lot of that. But I thought since she's here, she was like, you're not leaving me yet. So she came home with me. Y'all, I stayed with her for how many days was I there?
4, I think.
4 days. And then she was like, nope, not ready to leave. So that she got in the car with me and my girls and drove 12 hours with us here to my house, and left her 5 kids and husband and was like, I'm having bestie time. And so I said, you know what? Let's pull the audience into some girl chat today.
Yes.
Because I think everybody needs just basic girl talk. For all of the guys out there, I'm so sorry for the girl talk today, but maybe you'll get something out of this too, because I think that everybody deals with what we want to kind of dive into a little bit, which is mental health.
Yes.
And I know that women deal with mental health a lot.
Yeah.
But everybody deals with mental health, and it's not talked about enough in the church. I feel like there's a stigma on mental health. Like you should have enough of Jesus that you don't have mental health issues. And we don't we put almost a bad taste in our mouth for therapy, any type of counseling, any type of discussion about, hey, my mind is just struggling.
Right.
There is just a bad reputation for that in the church.
Yes.
And if you're listening to this and you're unchurched and you're like, what? That's what's interesting to me. Unchurched people are so mind boggled at the fact that churched people don't put a priority on mindset.
Yeah.
Because unchurched people, they're all about therapy and getting your mind right and all of the things, but church people just want to brush it under the rug.
Right.
And I thought I wanted Ashley to come on because our testimony is a lot alike. And it's one of the reasons why we connected, in how we really have overcome mental health stuff, how we've navigated it. But even just in being moms, you've got 5 kids.
Yes.
I've got 2.
Yeah.
But I think that even just as moms and women, it's so easy to lose our identity in our children
Yes.
or our role as a wife. That if you don't have any of those, maybe it's your career that you've lost your identity in, but it plays a role in your mental health because then you forget who you are.
Yeah.
And I'll share a little bit about how I came back from that, but I just kind of want you to kind of open up however you want to open up with your journey and whatever you want to talk about concerning mental health, or, you know, what it's been like for you as a mom navigating that season.
Okay. So I do want to start off by saying that if you're in the middle of a mental health crisis, you're not alone. That is the key thing that I feel like all of us at times just get blinded by. Like, our mind tells us you're completely alone. You better
so
not
isolating.
say nothing. Don't tell nobody what you're going
They're
through.
going to think you're crazy.
You're psycho.
Yeah.
Like, everything that you're thinking about is crazy, and you're not.
No.
I want you to know today that all of the intrusive thoughts, all things that make you feel like you are crazy, you are not crazy. You just need someone to lean on. You need help. And I feel like oftentimes, kind of like tapping back on what you were saying, you know, we as Christians believe that when we become one with Christ, that all this should just go away.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a lie from the enemy, because what happens is it blinds us to, like, we should be okay. Mm-hmm. And in all reality, like, God knows that we live with flesh and we live with spirit. So we have to be an open book even to God. And certain people, make sure you have a circle.
Yes.
You've got to have a circle. And kind of like what we were saying, if you don't keep your circle small, so you know, you can, like, really start filling out people and really start knowing who you can open up to. I want you to know today that you're not alone.
Yeah, there's no shame in feeling the things and navigating the things. I think that's where the enemy gets us, is when we're not okay.
Yes.
We feel shameful about it.
Yes.
Because, well, we know Jesus. Like, we know better. We know the word. Like, what is wrong with me that I'm struggling with this? And I think when it comes down to it, we've got to be reminded that the enemy only has one game.
Yes.
And that's to play with your mind.
Right.
That's the only game he has. Like, if he can get in your head, that's where he gets into every area of your life.
Yes.
And so the mind game doesn't stop just because you're a child of God.
Correct.
It's never going to stop. And it's
If
true.
anything, it intensifies because you are beginning to get to know your true identity and who God's calling you to be. So it's like he's trying to up his game on, like, let me stop this. I got to block it. Like, throw it. So, like, he comes to attack your idle mind. That's why it's so important to be in your word.
Yes.
Like, to be bedded and rooted in word. I'll share a little bit. There was a season of my life where I relapsed. And I remember I was in the church, strong in the church. And during this relapse season, I wasn't telling my husband and none of it, where one of my children found a substance and was like, "Oh, I thought Mama quit doing this." And my husband was like, "What?" So here I am, opening up to my husband about what I've been dealing with, and immediately the enemy just attacks me. You're worthless. You've never been good enough. You've always hidden what you really want to do.
Yeah.
You're not a good enough wife. For you to be able to go back to these things, you were not a Christian. You were never a Christian. You don't even know who God really is. And I began to ponder on that, and depression began to sink in.
Yeah.
And anxiety. All the things. There's a root, but there's also branches.
Yep.
And once that root is grounded, the branches begin to grow. But if you would get to the root cause of the very thing that is causing the damage and causing the branches to grow, and uproot that thing, mental health is a root.
Yeah.
That just stems off. Branches just stem off of that root.
Yeah.
And we have to be intentional on identifying the very things. And another thing that I want to say that has really helped me grow through mental health and just get through it is realizing that there's sometimes you are an issue.
Yeah.
Like, you have issues.
Uh-huh.
And if you can't admit to that and everybody else is the issue around you, you will never change because you're technically the issue, just pointing fingers at other people.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you find yourself looking at other people, finding these things. But really, if you sit back and think, I do those same things.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
It's always easier. My dad used to say it this way. He used to say, we judge people off of their actions, but we judge ourselves off of our intentions.
Yes.
So they could be doing the same thing as us, but because my intention was different than your
Yes.
action, you're the wrong one. And I know my heart.
Yes.
But yeah, it's wild to me how we do that in life. And so many, and I've said this so many times, and I've said it so many times on here, that more people are sick mentally than they are physically. And it's that root thing that we don't deal with because we don't want nobody to know about it.
Yes.
Because if they know about it, then how's it going to change the way they see me?
Yes.
How's it going to change the way that they allow me to be used in church, or
Right.
how God is going to disqualify or qualify me, or how the anointing is going to flow or not flow? Like,
Yes.
if they don't know about it, then maybe everything will be okay. But really what it does is it festers. It's like, well, I'll just use cancer as an illustration because that's just near and dear to my life, unfortunately. If I didn't deal with the root of cancer and just let it sit there, people would think I'm healthy. Because on the outside, I looked great as far as like health-wise. I didn't look sick when I was diagnosed. And if I wouldn't have let the doctors help me deal with the root, it would have set and it would have spread.
Yes.
It would have spread through my body. And that's what mental health does. Like, if you do not deal with the root, it spreads through your finances, through your family, through every area of your
And
life.
everything becomes septic.
Everything. Poisonous.
Everything. Yes.
Poison. And then people wonder, why is this falling apart? Why is that falling apart? And it comes back down to, you can't let dis-ease, because mental health is dis-ease in your mind. You're not at ease.
Yes.
You are diseased mentally.
Yep.
And you're letting it sit, and it just spreads like crazy.
Yes. I'll never forget when that happened. Like, mental health really, honestly, I didn't even know mental health was a thing because you don't really hear about it. People don't talk about it enough. And I remember sitting there on my bed one night just crying, and I'm just like, I'm crazy. Like, what is going on with me? What is wrong with me? And I'm not crazy. The Holy Spirit spoke to me, mental health. And I started researching on mental health. And the very things that everybody was putting in these articles and things like that was the very things that I was facing. And I was like, that's the root. That's the root. I've got to get help.
Yeah.
So I remember going to my husband scared out of my mind. So scared, because just one of them, you don't want to seem crazy. You really don't.
No.
So I remember going to him, and I was like, I really think I need help. Not that I want medication. There's nothing wrong with medication. If you are taking medication, continue to take your medication. You need it.
Yeah.
There is such thing as a chemical imbalance.
Yeah, there is.
So, but I remember sitting there and I was like, I don't want to go for medication. I just really want to talk to somebody. I need to get this out of my head. Like, I just sit in my head day in and day out. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 5. My husband works away from home, 2 hours from me. So, like, I'm just sitting at home by myself. And I was just like, I need to talk to somebody. I need to do therapy. Yeah. And I started therapy, and it has been a game changer.
Yeah, girl.
Like, game changer. The way that they just help you, like, decipher through all the things that's going through your mind and what's important and what's not important.
Yeah.
Like, just getting my fight back was like,
Oof. It's hard.
Yes.
When you feel like you've given everything you've got, and you feel like nobody understands you, it is hard to get your fight back.
Yes.
It is so hard. I remember when the first time I ever went to therapy, ever, in my life, was when I went to holistic treatment after cancer. And I went to get clean because I was so addicted to so many things. Because they put you on everything to help you keep yourself comfortable. But then also, I wanted to heal my body because chemo had done such damage to my body.
Yes.
But one of the things they did there because it's a holistic treatment, is they said, we don't need to just heal your body. We need to heal your mind, because if your mind is unhealthy, your body becomes diseased.
Yes.
And they have scientifically found where mentally diseased people, ill people that don't get their emotions right, it leaks into it changes their chemical balances, it changes their DNA. Their DNA changes off of emotions, and if you harbor it long enough, it will become cancer.
Yes.
It will become disease. And there are things I found out about myself in therapy during those 6 weeks. I was there 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, 6 hours a day. I mean, it was intensive work. And I would call Brandon and I would be bawling, because I'm like, I've been dealing with this root my whole life. And I just broke through. I just figured out how, and see, what was so cool about my guy was he was also Christian. So he still had that biblical foundation, you know, and I think that's important too.
Very important.
And so he still had that, and he came at it from biblical sides. But man, he helped me break through some things that I had been carrying forever, like control issues that started at 12 years old.
Yes.
And I carried that through my whole entire life, and it developed through eating disorders, and it developed through, you know, OCD, cleaning, and those things were all just because I had to control something in my life.
Yes.
And it just leaked out through what looks healthy to people, like keeping your weight looks healthy, keeping your space clean looks healthy, but it was an unhealthy habit,
Right.
because I was covering up mental issues.
Yes.
And that is the thing, is like, you can look at somebody and not know, and I'm not going to say this whole story, but we were just with somebody in your neighborhood, and your husband came in and was like, wow, if you would not have known them, you would never have known what they went through.
Yes.
And that's the main thing we see in churches, is you look at people in church and you think they got it all together because they're playing the good church part.
Yes.
They're dressed up. They look good. They
got
meet
them heels on, them earrings on, hair fixed.
Yes,
they
girl.
ready.
Yes. And you're like, man, they've got it all together, but you don't know what they are carrying around on the inside of them that's festered and festered and festered, and they feel like they are dying by themselves.
Yes.
Like totally. And I know for me, my mental health, man, there's been days where I didn't even know I would wake up the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how could I even wake up tomorrow? Because I don't even feel like I can breathe, type of thing, you know?
Yeah. See, and I dreaded tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. The nights
dreaded-
were my worst and the mornings were my
Yes.
worst, because nighttime you have to be stuck in the silence of your thoughts.
Yeah.
And the morning is like, dang it, we have to do it all over again.
Yeah. See, and mine was so severe, like I was drained by the end of the day. So like I was tired, and I would go to bed, and when I say like I dreaded tomorrow, like I literally dreaded having to wake up the next day to fight with the thoughts and literally have to take care of 5 children.
Oh, yeah.
And act like everything's fine, like nothing's going on. And that alone is hell. It's a living hell. And you feel so alone. And like, I remember going through therapy. I started therapy probably 6 months ago, but the change and the difference has been like so good. And so anyways, ended up starting therapy, and we were kind of like, she was trying to get my background and things about life and all the good things and all the bad things. And I'll never forget, on my third visit, she told me, she was like, I really believe that you deal with rejection. And I was like, no. You know, like immediately, if it sounds bad, you're like, I don't want that. Like, don't speak that on me. When in all reality, like, it really is a thing.
Yep.
It's one of the roots.
Yep.
And so.
And it's one of the main roots that people deal with.
Yes.
Is rejection.
Yes. And when she pointed that out to me, I was like, I just don't see it. So she began to talk to me about my past, taking me back to when I was younger. And she just began to point out things and stories that I had been telling her where rejection was starting. And like you were saying, you know, you were 12.
Yep.
You were 12.
Yep.
I was 12.
Yeah.
I was 12.
Yeah.
when rejection started. So it was like, it's mind-blowing at how we carry things and don't even realize that we've been carrying it for so long, and it has hindered so many parts of our lives. And if we don't get the help we need, we begin to ruin things around us that we never would have intended on hurting or harming, or, you know.
Yeah. And I do want to say, with it being right here talking about how young we were when it started,
Yeah.
I hate the saying, kids are resilient. Kids are resilient. They'll be fine. When we went through divorce, that's what the first thing people told me about my kids, because I was so worried. My kids were 5 and 7. I was so worried about how it would affect them. No, kids are resilient. They'll be fine. They'll bounce back. You'll be surprised.
They're kids.
And then when I went through cancer, kids are resilient. You'll be fine. When Brandon died, their stepdad, kids are resilient. They'll be good. Yep. They're not resilient.
Yes.
They're not given the opportunity to deal with their mental health issues because their parents are too busy dealing with their own mental health issues.
Yes.
And so you've got kids that carry mental health, and then they have to work out the mental health as adults.
Yes.
It's not that we're resilient. It's that we finally tried to get it together when we're older.
And honestly, that's where generational curses can begin to just move on in. Because like you don't fix it.
It's
before.
taught habits.
Yes.
It's taught habits. The curses that we talk about, it's learned behavior.
Yes.
It's the atmosphere that we grew up in. It's what we saw. It's the example that was led in front of us. And so we repeat the things that we see.
Repeat cycles.
We repeat it. And so mama had issues, and daddy had issues, and grandma had issues, so I have issues, and it's just a repetitive thing. And if we don't start teaching our children how to handle that, it's just going to keep on going down the line.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to seek out help, and when I saw how much it was helping me,
yes,
I was like, everybody needs therapy.
Girl, me too.
I told Brandon, I said, everybody who has a body and has been alive more than
therapy.
5 years, I'm not even kidding. They need it.
Yes, me too.
Because there is no person on this planet who has not been through some stuff and has some issues.
Yes.
Not one person. And yes, Jesus is our ultimate counselor and our ultimate guide and our ultimate healer, but he also gave us people to do life with.
Yes.
And he was the ultimate example of doing life with people.
Right.
And that's the other thing that we could go down the rabbit trail with, is like how, especially during COVID, we were so much more isolated because all the churches were shut down. And so we were sat at home, quarantined, watching people from our screens, which just made mental health way worse.
Yes.
Way, way worse. Because then people started faking it and only posting the highlight reels.
Yeah.
So then you're sitting at home going, something is wrong with me. And the enemy was so strategic in isolating us from the body of Christ by shutting all the churches down.
Yes. Yes.
That we had no people to do life with that could help encourage us. And it's so important to have people in your corner.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why I made the crew, was because I knew what it was like to be in a season where I felt like I had no body.
Yeah.
But some of my best friends were virtual friends before they became, you are one of my people that were, I seen you just randomly online through my other people.
Yeah.
And then we met.
Yeah.
But finding a community is so important. It's so important, especially as a mom.
Yes.
Because you've got 5.
Yeah.
She's got 5. 10. What are the ages? 10?
10, 8, 7, 4, and 2.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we can come back from feeling like we don't even know who we are anymore, because we're you're kind of still in that season.
Really, I am.
You're still in that season.
I'm honestly, and I feel like it's important to like, I want to let the people know, like, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I have not arrived. I'm still healing.
Me neither.
I'm still
Cheers.
like, I am still like taking this day by day, and I'm still there.
And it's a day by day till the day we die.
Yes.
Till you are buried in the ground. You will never arrive ever until you're in heaven.
Yes, yes. I do feel like, though, it is finding your community, but at the end of the day, I feel like knowing the word, knowing true revelation in who Jesus is, does help. But I also feel like adding that alongside with therapy, alongside with help, alongside with your circle, the way that you begin to just, I guess the word would be flourish.
Yeah.
And become, is making sure all that is in line. If you don't have all of that in line, like, you're just, it's just a cycle that you're going to keep repeating. I'll never forget, before I knew the actual problem of what I was dealing with, I would go and be fine, and then boom, I'd relapse again, and I'd be fine again, and then boom, I'd relapse again. And I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is it? And it's all of the issues that I really battled with mentally. But to shut the silence up, I just felt like, I got to take this drug. I got to do this drug in order to just shut it up for a little bit. That's what I kept telling my husband. I'll never forget the season of addiction. My husband was like, this is it. Like, you cannot continue on this path. And I ended up stopping. But the season of, like, getting back to normal the last time that I relapsed was hell.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say one time, and I believe it's scripture, correct me if I'm wrong.
So we had to go find the scripture because we needed to be accurate. So read the scripture to him.
Okay, so Matthew 12:43 through 45, it says, when the unclean spirit has gone out of a person, it passes through waterless places seeking rest, but finds none. 44 says, then it says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when it comes, it finds the house empty, swept, and put in order. 45 says, then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they enter to dwell there. And the last state of that person is worse than the first. So will it be with this evil generation. So, like, this last time that I relapsed, it was the worst.
Yeah.
7
times worse.
Oh my gosh. It was horrible. Mm-hmm. My husband had to take off a week from work because, like, it was bad. It was really, 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 really bad. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget just laying there, and I was just like, I can never do this again. But, like, the hell that I'm living in, what do I do, God? What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really feel like being sincere and open to God, because he knows. Mm-hmm. He's not stupid. He's not crazy. He knows.
Yeah.
But if we're not open and honest with it, how can he really help us? Because we don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not being honest with it. So I remember laying there that night, and I was just like, God, please, like, I can't keep doing this. Mm-hmm. And I sat up on the edge of my bed, and that was the very night that mental health hit me. Because I was just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know why I keep going back. I don't know.
Yeah.
And mental health hit me, and I'd done my research and got into therapy and all the things, and just realizing that you can get through it too. Like, in order to transition into the better season, like, you have to know that there is a better.
Yeah.
And the way that you gain that is through a relationship with Jesus, because, I mean, having the faith that, you know, everything's going to be fine.
Yep.
That's what we always talk about as Christians.
Yeah.
But we really have to get revelation that everything is really going to be okay, regardless.
Yeah. That there is a better. And it's like this whole podcast is based off of he turns all things bad around for our good.
Yes.
And so you can't have it turned around for good if you're not in the season of a bad.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's funny to me because we've made heroes out of all of the people in the Bible, but we forget that a lot of them started out villains.
Yes.
A lot of them were really bad villains.
Yes.
And God turned their bad into good. I mean, Paul was the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
He was out killing and slaughtering all of the Christians. And the Lord turned that around to where he ended up writing the majority of our New Testament.
Yeah.
And got so many people saved, but had the most adversity.
Yeah.
Like the worst hardships. He even like documented all of the shipwrecks and all the beatings and all the imprisonments and all of the things he had to go through. But God, you know, and I think that when we think we're exempt from anything bad, you know, obviously, God, where are you? I don't understand. Why am I dealing with this? Why am I dealing with this?
Yep.
Everybody in the Bible had to deal. Even Jesus dealt with suffering. Even Jesus had a mental issue in the garden, as far as like mentally battling. Yeah. He mentally battled in the garden. God, please, I don't want to do this. So bad that he literally bled drops of blood from his forehead in sweat. And I think that it just goes to show you, like, if Jesus even struggled in his mind there right before he stepped into purpose, that was his greatest struggle in his mind, was right before he fulfilled everything. I think we got to realize when we're in our worst struggle in our mind, it's oftentimes right before we step into the thing that God has for us. No doubt. Because even Jesus did that. And so we're over here thinking we're too far gone. We're disqualified. Like if God was in this, then I wouldn't be struggling like this.
Right.
But we got to think about everybody, including Christ, that had these moments, but had to stay the course, you know? And it's like I said at the beginning, like the enemy has one trick, and it's our mind.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important to use the tools. You said a second ago, you said, you know, using all of the things, have a circle, go to therapy, get in the word, be at church, all of the things. Like, I think of it like this, like if I was building a house and I showed up just with a couple of tools, it could not get the job done.
Yeah.
And where I wanted to live would be unlivable.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's that way spiritually too, because God's given us so many tools. He's given us people. He's given us resources. He's given us the word. He's given us relationship with him. He's given us so many things. And yet we only use a couple of those, like Sunday morning service.
Yeah.
That does not sustain you the rest of the week.
Yep.
And so you're trying to live this life that is unlivable.
Yeah.
Because it's not fully formed.
Yeah.
You're leaving things out of the equation that help you have a sustainable life spiritually. And I think we've got to understand, like, it is okay to need help beyond your own personal devotional time.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes devotional time, what I learned, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be a super like taboo kind of topic. When we were pastoring in Texas for 7 years, we did a lot of leadership training and a lot of stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that we really pushed was personal time with the Lord, devotional time. Like, you can't say you're a disciple and you never read the Bible.
Yeah.
You can't say you're a disciple and you never spend time with God.
Yeah.
You know, disciples were with Jesus all the time, not just once a week. And what I found in that, though, is some people allowed their discipline to do their devotions became bondage. And it was like, well, I'm doing my devotions, but it wasn't about truly finding revelation of who God is. It was just about checking off the check mark. I'm doing my Bible reading every day. I'm doing my 1 year Bible reading every day, while they're still struggling with mental health issues, because it's more of a bondage than it is a covenant. Like, I'm in relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm not just like doing it just because. And I think that's where people find shame in their minds is, well, I'm doing all the things. Mm-hmm. I'm reading my Bible. I'm going to church, and I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
Because you've made religion a bondage. It's not a relationship. And
also making it a task. Like you said, like you're just putting it on a check mark.
List.
Yes.
Just think, what are some things that you have done beyond therapy in your personal time
Yeah.
Because some people may be like, well, I can't afford therapy.
Yeah.
I can't afford to get a therapist and my insurance doesn't cover it or whatever. I don't have insurance.
Yeah.
I don't have any access to that kind of thing. What are some things that we can help them like do daily to create a space for their mental health to be where it needs to be?
I feel like it's a lot of reminding yourself. You have got to get to a point where you can remind yourself of the good parts of you.
Yeah.
You're not all bad at all.
Yeah.
Like the whole you is not bad.
Yeah.
The very situation that you're dealing with is what's creating you to seem bad.
Yeah.
And I really feel like something that could help people, I'll even give what my I paid for it, but I'll give it for free. But my therapist told me, with me and my situation, she was like, Ashley, everything's not about you. Whether that be good or it be bad.
Yep.
Everything's not about you.
Yeah.
So being open-minded to the fact of, because a lot of people, when they get into these mental health battles, they're
well, that's what mental health,
like offensive.
Yeah, and that's what mental health is. It's about me.
Yes.
me. It's when
Yes.
you internalize everything towards yourself.
Yes.
You become self-absorbed.
They looked at me like that. They hate me.
Yeah.
They done this because this.
Well, they didn't call me, so they must not like me.
Yes.
Or I seen on Facebook that such and such was over at a party and I didn't get an invite.
She's liking her post and she's not liking mine. Like there's something going on. She may not like me. Or girl, it's creating healthy habits as well.
Yeah.
So like when my therapist pointed it out that I dealt with rejection and things like that, it's applying what helps you. And you know what makes stuff better. Like, you know when you feel better.
Yep.
If that's waking up early in the morning to get ready before your whole house wakes up, wake up in the morning.
Yep,
If that's
girl.
fixing yourself a cup of coffee before you ever start getting ready for the day, fix yourself that
if
cup of
it's
coffee.
like my mama making sure all the dishes are done before she goes to bed.
Do it!
Going to the gym helps my mind so much. And I have not been able to go to the gym in the last several months because life has just been wild for me. But that was a big thing, especially during grief.
Yes.
I had to go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
Or I was tore up from the floor up.
Yeah.
Like I would be almost like disabled.
Right.
Like I was crippled in life.
Right.
If I did not force, and it wasn't because I wanted to work out, but I knew I would feel so much better.
Yes.
After
yes.
I was done.
Yep.
And it's finding the things that make you feel good and placing priority on it.
Right.
And that those
healthy,
things that
healthy
thank
things.
you. I was about to say, and those
Healthy.
things that make you feel good is not drugs, sex, and all
Yes,
of the like.
no,
No,
ma'am.
baby.
It has to line up with the Word of God. If you
Yes.
are a believer, if you're a firm believer and you're watching this,
Yes.
marijuana, highs,
Alcohol.
those things are not. Those are a temporary fix. And I
Finding
feel like
pleasure in relationships that's like gonna last you a momentary moment, and
Yes.
then you're gonna feel guilty afterwards. No,
yes,
ma'am, that's gonna mess
I feel
you
like
up.
a lot of times, even now, we have the generation of now has literally wanted microwavable fixes.
Yep.
So like they don't want to put it in the oven and help it bake. They
Nope.
don't want it to take time. They don't
That's
want
right.
the therapy because it's a process.
It's
It's
a
not
process. It
something
takes
that
time.
you snap your fingers and
Everybody
it's done.
wants the 5-star dinners and all of the courses that come with it at a
Yes.
nice restaurant, but they don't want to wait for it.
Yes.
Like you got a whole chef in there, like making this perfect for you.
Yep.
It's not no McDonald's drive-through.
And
you
really,
know?
honestly, if you think about it, microwavable food doesn't keep you full long.
That's right.
But if you wait on that good meal, the fulfillment that you get, just
Yeah.
like with Jesus, like if you would just do the things that gets the right fixes,
knowing that he is in there cooking up the most perfect thing for
uprooting
you.
things that don't need to be in there, things that's hurt you. He's throwing all the spices in it, just like
Man,
the fulfillment that you will get if you will do it in the proper way.
yes.
Rather than what the world is trying to push on you to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
It's so much. That is the victory
Yes.
at the end.
Yeah.
That is what you look forward to.
Yes, ma'am.
So like even in the middle of fixing and processing, like you have got to be willing to
Yeah.
be pushed, pricked, pulled.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be all of those nasty things that's going to be uprooted that you'll no longer have to deal with, and you'll really be who you want to be
Yes, ma'am.
at the end of the day.
That's a whole word, girl.
Yes.
That's gonna have
Yes.
to be like a little clip that I share right there because
Yes.
that is a whole word, and you have to be so specific about prioritizing. I tell my crew all the time, you cannot not make the word of God a priority. You can't afford, if you can't afford to not go to work, you cannot afford to not make the word and time with Jesus a priority, because you are going to literally be lacking in so many areas of your life if you don't. And we put priority on so many other things that just feeds the issue. It just fuels the issue. Some of y'all are putting priorities on relationships that are mentally draining you, and you're wondering why in the world you're mentally drained.
I literally just got a vision of a fire of charcoal. And it's like literally somebody on here that is washing now is literally taking coals from the bag and just keeps adding to the fire. And that's exactly what we do when we pick up sex, when we pick up
alcohol, drugs.
Yeah, all of that. You're just adding coals to that fire, and it's going to keep going and going and going. Whereas if you would just let it burn out, you would be able to put the meat on the flame.
Yes, ma'am.
The meat on the heat.
Yes.
You've got to start prioritizing what's important so you can really get to the meat of what God's calling you to.
Yeah.
And if you don't never get that to burning, you'll never be who God's called you to be. That's and the only way that you can do that is to stop putting coals on the fire.
And you need to look at your life, friend, and ask yourself, what is it that you're continuing to feed? Is it your relationship? I just feel that so heavy right now. Like some of y'all, it is your relationships, the people that are surrounding you. They are not feeding your mind right. They are feeding into your drama.
Yes.
Feeding into your victimized mentality. Feeding into, oh yeah, girl, that you have a right to feel that way, baby. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you need to go out and get that man. You need to go feel good, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And it is feeding the issue. And you're over here like, well, that's been my girl. That's been my boy for all this time. They've been my ride or die. No, they're helping you die. They're helping you die mentally. They're helping you die spiritually. And you need to find a new crew. A new group of people that are going to feed you correctly.
I'll never forget when I started my walk with Jesus, I had a pastor tell me, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Yep. My daddy said that all the time.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you have somebody that is feeding into that, you go, girl. Or like, we need to go get a drink because you just feel bad. Let's smoke this joint because you feel bad. Like, let's do this. If you have those kind of friends, you better get them out of your circle.
If you are around somebody and they show you a certain characteristic that you don't want to be in life, some of those people and I understand loving people. I'm not saying don't love them. I'm saying don't cling to them. Because you will become who you are around. I seen a video yesterday of a strawberry that was molded. And they stuck a healthy strawberry beside it, through a toothpick through both of them. So it was holding the molded one next to the healthy one, and the healthy one became molded because it was stuck to the molded strawberry. And so there is something about loving somebody and showing them the example of Jesus, but there is something else about clinging to somebody and allowing their character to leak into who you are. And
if you don't never pay attention to the fruits your friends bears, you're in trouble. Because whatever your fruit they're bearing is what you're going to receive when it falls.
Exactly.
When it falls down, it's falling into words that they speak, things that they say. What things are they feeding you?
No.
Because if it is curses, if it is things that you know you're not with or for or trying to achieve to be, it's time to cut it off.
Yeah.
Cut that tree off.
And you can be an example to somebody and let your fruit rub off on somebody else.
Yes.
But that's also not done in a space of, hey, let's do life like every aspect of my life. Like, I can pour into you, but you're not going to be able to pour into me.
Yeah.
Like, that's where that comes in. Okay. Like, I recognize you need me. You need my fruit. You need me to have some, what is it called? Influence over your life. But I recognize that. So I'm going to pour into you.
Yeah.
But I also understand you're not necessarily going to be the one that pours into me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want your character.
Yeah.
I don't want those kind of things rubbing off on me. And you're going to fuel some things that I want to die out.
Yes.
Yes. It's so important. Like,
and honestly, I feel like too, even being with people that are not you, don't feel less than, because like you were saying, you really need mature people like you that say, like, hey, you'll never be able to pour into me, but I'm going to be connected to you because I see
I'll
things.
be a voice into your life.
Yes, that you need spoken over you.
Yes.
I won't give up on you.
Yes. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yes. And you need those type of people in your life, because eventually the fruit that you are feeding them will begin to be the fruit that they produce.
Yes,
because the
exactly.
seeds are being sown that
sown
you are
into them.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it goes back to recognizing what people are in your life for. Are they
Yes.
there to pour into you, or are you there to pour into them?
Correct.
Because if you're going through it, you don't need somebody else that's going through it pouring
Right.
into you.
Right.
It's going to just add to the fire.
Yep.
Just exactly what you said earlier, like just adding coals onto that thing. And you've got to have some people that are like, okay, I'm going to help you.
Yes.
Like settle some dust here.
Yep.
Like I need to help you. Like let the smoke settle.
Yep.
And not be sitting here fueling what you're thinking is right and all of the things are
Yes.
justified and blah, blah, blah. It's an intentional thing. It's a daily struggle. It is a everyday walk.
Mm-hmm.
And
You must be intentional.
and you cannot give the excuse, well, I just don't have money for therapy. Baby, there are free podcasts like this. All Things Good podcast every single Thursday that I feed you to help your mind. And that's one of the main things I talk about. There's other people's podcasts that are amazing for your mindset.
Yep.
There's communities and churches and people. And I'm going to say it like my husband said it all the time. You can't be upset you got no friends when you haven't made yourself friendly. I used to say it all the time. I used to be like, I don't have no friends. You've got all these friends and blah, blah, blah. And the problem was I wanted friends so bad, but I was so afraid of being hurt.
Yes.
Because I had been so hurt in the ministry, like especially doing ministry full time. Like I never felt like I could trust people.
Yeah.
And so I did ministry and I love people from a distance, but I never let them get close to me.
Yeah.
And Brandon was the opposite. Everybody was close to him. And I'd get so mad. I'd be like, man, you've got all these friends. And he's like, babe, you can't have friends if you're not friendly.
Yeah.
He's like, you're friendly, but you're friendly with an arm out.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to help somebody with too, is like, if you're dealing mentally with, I don't have a community, you need to first ask yourself the hard question that I had to ask myself. Am I letting people in? That doesn't mean you let everybody in. You use wisdom.
Yes.
But am I letting people in? Or am I just like so stuck in my ways that I'm pushing everybody away from me that could actually be who God is sending me to help me?
Yeah.
And I will say this, just as another golden nugget, my dad always says, when the devil is ready to curse you, he'll bring a person. When God is ready to bless you, he'll bring a person. So when you're fixing to let people in, recognize what person is coming into your life, which comes back to, you need somebody to help you settle the smoke.
Yeah.
So don't bring people in that's going to add coals to the fire.
Yeah.
It's just important.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you came into my life really July, right after Brandon died. Like April. Yeah, 3 or 4 months after Brandon had died. And so we've gone through a lot together just in our short time of knowing each other. Me just getting my mind right.
Yeah.
Just as a widow, and let alone a cancer patient and a single mama and all the things. But even just as a woman, and then seeing you go through the process with just being a mama of 5 littles. And so we just want to be an encouragement to anyone watching that you're not alone in your mental health.
Yes.
This is you're more surrounded by people that know what you're going through than you are surrounded by people that don't.
Yes.
And that's what I had to tell myself when I was really going through it, is like, really honestly, if people want to be real and stop being fake all the time.
Yeah.
There's more people that get me right now than they don't get me.
Yes.
But that's the devil. The devil make you think that you're all alone.
Right up.
Yep. You all by yourself. Nobody
Yep.
understands you. Any last words for the people?
I don't think so. Nothing but you've got this. You can get through this. You are not alone at all.
No.
At all.
Nope.
Find Jesus at the center.
Yes.
Find your circle. Find healthy habits to help you. And whatever those may be, I want people to know that it's going to be a struggle
Yeah.
to start. It really is. But in order to get your fight back, in order to get your mental health back to where you need it to be, you've got to do it. You have to do it.
It takes 21 days to create a habit. And so if you think you're just going to have a week of good mental health and you're good to go, you're crazy. Because it takes 21 days to create a habit and 1 day to break it.
Yep.
And so if you are not prioritizing it, you are going to be struggling constantly.
Yep.
Well, we're going to end this like we always do. Get your coffee cup. We are raising a glass to all things bad because God makes it good. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, let's just take a quick pause because I'm not sure if you're aware, but in 7 days on Thanksgiving Day, my brand new book, I Win, Faith Ain't Fair, It's a Fight, is available on Amazon and Kindle. And if you pre-order it today and all the way through Thanksgiving Day, you get the introduction and first chapter on audio via email. If you've been in the fight for your life, this is the book for you. I literally take you through 8 specific strategies concerning your faith fight to do what the Word of God says to do. If you're believing God for anything and it has been a struggle, whether it's an emotional fight, a relational fight, a spiritual fight, a mental fight, or a physical fight, this book is for you. I start out every chapter with a journal entry from my cancer journey. It's very raw. It's very real. It's very vulnerable. I share so many details of what it looks like to truly walk out trauma in order to see triumph. And if you've seen my story, you know the faith fight is not done. I became a widow only 4.5 months after my cancer journey ended, and my husband decided to move in with Jesus. So go get the book because it's going to encourage you concerning your faith fight. And I hope that it will be a gift to your life. Pre-order it now, 7 days. I can't wait. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I want to give you an opportunity right now to go hit the subscribe or follow button. Don't miss an episode. Every Thursday, we are going to be here early morning. We will live broadcast it to Facebook, and it will be on all the streaming platforms and YouTube at 5 and 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't miss this. I hope it's empowering you. I hope it's encouraging you. And I want to give you a chance to partner with our ministry. If you don't know, we travel full time all around the nation. We do worship, we speak, we do conferences, we do pop-up events, we do consulting, all of the things. And we are seeing lives changed forever. We're seeing massive miracles take place, supernatural miracles take place in bodies, but even in hearts and minds and emotions as well. And God has just been so good. There's a couple of ways you can partner with us. Number one, pray. Pray for me and the girls. This is definitely a sacrifice. It is a calling. It is our passion, but we need your prayers as we do what God's called us to do. And number two, I want to give you a chance to partner with us financially. We cannot do what we do on the road without your help. And we just love our partners. You keep our car going. You keep us on the road. You keep us booked up. You allow us to do the ministry that we are doing. And we're just so thankful. On my website, AlissaHolt.com, I'll throw it up on the screen. You can go to Ladder House Co. and read all about the ministry. And you can click to be a monthly partner or a one-time giver. We love whatever it is that you can do, whether it's prayer, whether it's monthly, or whether it's one time. We are so incredibly grateful. God is so good, and you are a part of the harvest that we are seeing on the road when you partner with us. Go check out that giving link. I will put it here on the screen as well and down below in the description, and we will see you next week. Love you.
You are the sky, singing your lullaby. Shine bright in the night, it's in you I delight. And I am placing you higher.